Okay, folks, I think we're going to get started now. We may have a few people coming in, but want to be respectful of everybody's time. I'm Scott DeFusco with CaptureLife, and joining me today is TW Woodward, also with CaptureLife. And we're super excited to be presenting CaptureLife to you, a new option provided by Technicare. We've been working with the Technicare team now for a while, and we just are having a blast working with them. Super talented group. It's easy to see why you have chosen them as your lab partner. And so we're really excited to roll this out to you. And think of this as an awareness campaign. We're going to be providing you with more information over time, but really wanted to introduce you to CaptureLife, what it means for your business. And we'll have additional details to follow. But if you walk away today just understanding what CaptureLife is and how you can make more money using CaptureLife with Technicare, then we've accomplished our goal here for today. So here's what we're going to cover today. And really, we're going to break it down into two different segments, really. The first three bullets are really providing you an overview of CaptureLife so you understand the offering. The second three bullets, TW is going to take over and really talk about the more important part. How do you make money and get started using CaptureLife through Technicare? And we are going to have a Q&A session at the end, so you'll have plenty of opportunity to ask questions. And also, we're recording this, so if you need to share this link to this webinar or revisit it at any time, we'll provide you with a link afterwards. A little bit of background on ourselves. So I'm Scott DeFusco. My background is actually not in photography at all, and I don't want that to be disconcerting to anyone here because we have plenty of folks, including TW, who are steeped in the photography industry. I'm a technologist by background. I've worked in small and large software companies over the last 20 years, building and taking products to market across the globe. And so I got involved in CaptureLife just because I'm a parent. And that was really my experience with purchasing professional photography over the years. Having two kids, I've purchased a lot, and that got me really energized. Our co-founder, Jeff Eckerly, is also a parent, so that's what really got us into this. But TW comes from a much different background. TW is from the industry, 18 years of experience. He'll explain a little more about it, but he's from your world. He's worked in a business, run a business that was both photography business as well as a vertically integrated lab. So he knows both sides of this, and he's our customer success manager, really here on an ongoing basis to make sure that you have the support you need to be successful with CaptureLife. And, if we go really one step more clear on what we're trying to accomplish today and convey is that it's the power of three here. How can we save you money, make you more money, and win you more business? And that's really what we're going to be focusing on here today. And this really all starts with your consumer. And this is what really got us interested in CaptureLife. We're consumers ourselves, have been for years, and really saw our own experience as a proxy for an opportunity, some challenges and an opportunity we saw in the industry. And so we started looking more deeply into the trends, and it's really interesting. You know a lot of these trends already, but it's very clear that they're spending 5 hours a day on average on their mobile devices, checking it some 65 times a day on average. What's more interesting is the purchasing trends. So you start to see how fast and how this major shift over the last 3 to 5 years, especially toward the purchasing happening on mobile devices. You look at last holiday season for Amazon, 70% of the purchases came from their native mobile app. I know in our family, it's easy to see how that stat has happened. We got very involved in ordering from mobile apps. And the chart on the left is very interesting as well, and it's important to our overall strategy. That blue bar is really showing where your consumers are spending their time. And the decreasing gray bars down there to 8% today, that's where they're not spending a lot of time. So the blue bar is in native mobile apps, and the apps are rich in experience. They're persistent on the phone. People can get to them anytime they want. And those browser-based experiences, more conducive to things like news sites or a one-time purchase of something, but really doesn't hold someone's attention. And so sometimes we hear people say, oh, well, we already have a mobile app for our photography. And then we learn it's really a browser-based one and done type experience where they download their image and then they're gone. And you're off their phone, you're out of their 5 hours a day part of their life. And that's where we want to be, in that 5 hours. And so when we looked at this, we look at it from our own perspective. This is the co-founder, Jeff Eckerly. It's his fridge, and you can see his two kids. Great, these are the magnets that he buys every year. The point to make here is, obviously, the print products are extremely important to everybody. And so one of the things we want to make clear is, even though CaptureLife uses digital as a way to make you more money, it also uses digital as a way to drive more print revenue. And you're going to see our strategy is actually to bundle the two together to make that happen. So when Jeff was looking at his fridge one day, he had this aha moment that, love seeing these on my fridge. When people come over, they think it's great. But I wish I had all of these memories on my phone that I have with me all the time, where I'm used to sharing, where I'm used to posting on social media, where I have my digital wallet so that when I'm in front of friends or relatives, I can easily pull up these pictures and show them. So that's really what got us into CaptureLife, this whole opportunity to embrace digital as a strategy for making more money. And here are the current digital delivery options we see out there. Thumb drives and CDs and email. My daughter's graduation portraits that were taken last summer were delivered to me in 5 separate emails. I can tell you that was not a very elegant experience. They wanted to sell me the DVD, but I said, I don't have a single, we have all Macs in our house, so not a single CD or DVD drive we could even use. So we call these, dead-end transactions. Basically, when you give a print or you give a physical product like this, like a thumb drive, to a consumer, you're basically saying you're on your own. Go off and use that in a way that is convenient for you, but we're probably not going to see you again. And the stats really bear that out. And so we're creating more work for our customers when we do this as well. Where did I put that access code? Where was the email? Where do I put these files now that I have them? How do I get them onto my phone? So one of the biggest challenges and opportunities with this model is these are dead-end transactions. These people are off taking these files to Shutterfly or Costco or wherever they might go, Walgreens. And we know that through convenience, we can drive more purchases in the future by being persistent in their life in that 5-hour window on their phone. So as an industry, we see that we've had a very print-driven business model, which is fine, but it's now about, okay, how do we leverage this mobile social lifestyle of this consumer, and how do we leverage that to our advantage so we actually embrace digital, deliver in the right way to the consumer, and use that as a Trojan horse to drive even more value in the future. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. And so what we do, the solution is to bundle prints with the right digital experience. And that's what Technicare and CaptureLife are doing here, is providing you with the opportunity to combine these and to drive more overall value for your consumers, but also for you as a photographer and Technicare as your lab. And so let's talk a little bit more in detail of how that happens with CaptureLife. One of the first things is we've integrated with the core systems at Technicare. So any of the heavy lifting has already been done. We already integrate with the great systems that the Technicare already provides to you for ordering products from Technicare and getting those fulfilled. So we're fully integrated with PhotoLinks and Rose in the Technicare environment. What that means for you is you're going to use those tools, and we'll talk a little bit more about if you're using commerce sites like ImageQuicks to do proofing and purchasing, but those wind up coming through ordering systems like this, that's supported as well. But what we do is we then make it easy for you to take those, include CaptureLife as a digital product on your forms or in your commerce site, so that they can select, the customer can select that as part of their option, and then that gets delivered through Technicare and their CaptureLife account right to the consumer's phone. And that can literally happen within seconds of an order coming from one of these ordering systems into Technicare. And while the workflow still goes through its normal process for the print side of that purchase, the digital already has the consumer getting engaged. And that's where we really start to unlock some power. So one of the things you're going to learn about CaptureLife is it's social. We know that there are more buyers of that content. We just have to get to them. And that's what CaptureLife does. It's a sharing app. So the first thing we do when a consumer opens up their album is we point down to a nice plus symbol on top of their album and say, by the way, did you know you can easily share these memories with family and friends? Just to show you how powerful that is, last month, a quarter of all the print purchases that were made by consumers in CaptureLife through our apps came from somebody other than the original customer, came from an in-law, came from a parent, a brother, a sister. So that's where we're unlocking potential to bring other buyers in, and it's a great experience for the consumer. Now, when we have those other buyers in, there's all sorts of things we can do. One of them, we're not going to focus as much on this aspect of CaptureLife in this webinar because we really want to get moving on the core value proposition here of digital delivery and connecting them to the Technicare print store. But what we do want to let you know about, and I'll share a little bit of insights here in a few minutes, is that we have a digital marketplace as well. Other products that Technicare can offer through CaptureLife that are digital products that you can actually make available to your customers right from within the app. You can even set the prices of those digital products. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, but just know that what we're focusing on today is only the beginning of what you can do with CaptureLife and Technicare. And so the other key ingredient to this is you have a great lab in Technicare. They have incredible quality in their work, great products. You want those products and that quality in the hands of your customers so that the prints and the other products that they purchased it as part of their prepay or a proofing workflow, that you know when they order products in the future, you have the same quality behind those purchases as well. So we have a print store in the app that opens right up to the Technicare catalog of products that can be ordered right through the app and then drop ship to the customer's home right from Technicare. And then the other powerful part of this whole platform is that we have marketing capabilities built in. So an interesting stat here, mobile apps usually get deleted pretty quickly from someone's phone. So we realize that that is a challenge going in, but that's not the case with CaptureLife. We have an advantage in that we're landing on their phone with key memories. And so 70% of the people whose phones we've landed on still have CaptureLife on their phone. That's an amazingly low attrition rate. What that means is you're still connected to those people directly. We can market to them. We don't have to go through the school or the sports league or anybody else that's a gatekeeper in your relationship with the consumer. We can actually market with Technicare directly to them to promote print products around specific times of year where you think you can drive more value, and also around certain things that they do. If they added things to their shopping cart but then abandon that cart, we can try to push them along and with a message to get them back in, can provide them with a coupon code, all sorts of techniques. So a lot of power in this model for you. And the other thing is, I want to talk a little bit more about the integration of your ordering system. So I know many of you use either Flow or Rose, depending on the type of photography and which one you're using through Technicare. We integrate with both of these ordering systems. What that means is you're going to be able to include CaptureLife digital products that are made available to you through both of these systems and add them to your packages. And so when you do that, and then you push those orders through to Technicare, it's going to connect with CaptureLife automatically. It's going to wind up on the customer's phone with an email and or text message so that they have a link with your branding. So the other thing that's important to note, even though this order is coming through Technicare, your branding is always front and center. So your logo, your company name, your website is going to be represented in different places throughout this workflow. So one you're seeing here is when you capture the email address and phone number, and let's pause on that for a minute because you may not have that as part of your workflow today. And we do hear some people with concerns that we haven't collected that before. We're not sure people are going to provide that. We can tell you, and we've been doing this for a couple of years, 3 years now, they will absolutely provide it to you. In fact, most transactions that you have today, if you think about it, include that same information. We're just asking for it, whether it's through your ordering system or through your forms, so that you can collect that information. We'd like you to actually collect both, name and phone number. Reduces errors. It also means that we can wind up on their phone with 2 notifications, one in an email and one in a text message. We have some smart linking that we've built in with the platform that has all of their information encrypted in a link. So when they tap or click, because one of the things with CaptureLife is we know whether they're clicking on this from their computer, which takes them into our web app, or most people, 82% in fact, are accessing through their mobile phones. So that's kind of interesting. It really backs up those stats we saw earlier when we say that people are mobile most of the time. Our stats prove that out. 82% of the people are accessing on their mobile phone. So when they tap that link, we know if they're on an Android device or an iPhone, and we take them right in to the App Store where they can download the app. There is no login or sign up. We've encrypted that information in that link. So we're able to take them right in. It's a very frictionless experience and allows them to get in, view their images, invite other people in, and access that Technicare print store right through the app for any reorders. And we find that the reorder rate, just to put a number on this, on average, we can drive about 5 times the reorder rate that anybody can get through a very sophisticated promotional campaign to a regular commerce site. And we're actually seeing those numbers go up. A lot of that depends on your content, to be candid. We have some photographers where they have a much higher reorder rate because their quality is better. And so there's factors obviously involved, but because we're offering this convenience and a persistent app and your images are only 1 tap away and marketing, we're able to drive that reorder rate up. And so let's talk about the marketing here for a second. We have all sorts of techniques that we are implementing with Technicare to have a program of messages to keep people engaged and keep them purchasing. So one of the things is intelligent delivery. So we can actually learn on our platform when people engage with different types of messages. When are they most likely to read an email versus react to a text message? What time of day is better to send those to? And maybe we can even split them up. How do they react to in-app messages like you're seeing here, or push notifications? So we can orchestrate this so we wind up on their phone with a push notification, which is very engaging and immediate. They can tap through to that, which takes them into a one-screen panel that talks about a promotion that you may be running for a certain time of the year, and then basically get them in there right to the right page, even to the right product page in the Technicare print store if you're trying to promote a specific product. So these techniques are very effective at getting people buying and keeping them engaged. And so the other thing I'm going to do here is just quick before I hand the reins over to TW. I want to talk for a minute about our digital marketplace. Now, sometimes I think I should hold back on this, but this is an information sharing session. So I want you to be aware of what CaptureLife has to offer in terms of digital products in the future that you'll be able to offer to your customers. So we're building out, just like Technicare has this great set of products, catalog of products that you can sell to your customers. We are offering Technicare a set of digital products that they're going to be rolling out that you can also offer to your customers. Things like overlays, like this one up here in the middle of the woman running the New York Marathon, and an overlay of the logo for the marathon. Well, if you do schools, leagues, work like that, imagine the school's logo being one of the additional bonus images that we make available for you by you providing us with the school logo. And so when those jobs run out to the customer, your images are there, the portraits you've taken and sold to them, but you can also sell these bonus images that have a little different flavor. In a similar way, we have things like dynamic backgrounds. So we'll be supporting whether you work in a green screen workflow or maybe you don't shoot green screen at all. We have two capabilities that we're building out that will allow you to offer different backgrounds for purchase right within the app. So just more content that people can buy over time. And if you, one of the things that we're hearing about more and more are video. You know, if you're doing schools, for example, shooting a video, if someone would have captured a video of my kids when they were standing in line to get their picture taken at school and they had a little interview of them that came along in a video montage that included that little clip plus some of the poses that came with the school portrait session, I'd have been buying in a heartbeat. And so I can't get those back now. My kids are both graduated, so it's those are memories I don't have access to. And as parents, we're not there when that's happening. You can't stand there with your phone and capture that. So those are really great opportunities for us as photographers to generate more content. And what we can do is create these video stories. And I'll just play one here real quickly so you get the gist of this. So you get the idea. There's all sorts of themes that we make available, that some themes are better for different types of photography versus like senior portraits versus wedding versus all sorts of different themes to different music, a whole catalog of music you can select for your jobs. And we can support video clips as well as stills in the same video. And we can create these at volume. So it's a really slick bit of functionality. And just one more quick note here before I pass it over to TW. We also are rolling out just this week, our first customer is going to be going live with this, which are video story templates. So the ability for you to put in stock photography. So if you're doing school or wedding or youth sports, you can imagine collecting some stock video or footage, images from the venue, like a school, a drone flyover of the grounds that you can use for anybody you shoot photography for, pictures of the hallways of some of the staff, whatever it may be. And you can put those in placeholders. You can literally develop a template and add stock frames to your video and then let the other photography and videos fill in the gaps that you create. Really slick way to create a very nice product in an automated way that is going to have a high impact on your customers. So again, we want you to take advantage of these products in the future. Our first focus, though, as a group, is to get you on board with CaptureLife, digital delivery through your ordering process, taking advantage of that, being able to allow your customers to access those images on their phone and be connected to the Technicare print store, which drives more reorders and which benefits all of us, and really focus on that social purchasing as well. So that's where we're going to focus, but we wanted you to have an understanding that there's more here. There's more here that you're going to be able to grow into, and we're here to help you with that in the future. So with that, I'm going to hand over controls now to TW, let him take you through the really interesting part here, which is how do you save, make, and more money and win more business. So TW?
Thanks, Scott, and thanks everybody for attending. We've got a great group this afternoon, and we really appreciate the opportunity to present to you all. As Scott said, my name is TW Woodward. I've spent nearly 20 years in the photo industry, leading a high-volume youth sports photography business in the Minneapolis-St. Paul metro area. As he mentioned, the company I worked for was vertically integrated, meaning that we had a lab and photographers and all of our own equipment. So I was directly responsible for the photographer's equipment, the sales and account management, as well as the technical systems in the lab and business administration. And to get an idea of the volume that we were running, at our seasonal peak, we would hit about between 2,000 and 3,000 paid orders per day. Personally, I'm a technology geek at heart, and early on, we saw the potential of digital imaging, especially what it meant for customer loyalty and retention. I met the co-founders of CaptureLife, Jeff and Scott Fusco, early on in the development, and I knew that they had nailed this new ongoing relationship between photographers and customers. I'm really excited to be a part of the CaptureLife team as we're growing and reaching out, and I'm equally excited to make myself available to you all as a resource. As Scott mentioned, we have the big three for how we can help your photography business as we make the digital transformation and connect to new customers through social networking and some of the post-capture marketing. And most importantly, we're getting the customers their photos where they want them. Let's take a look at these three aspects, starting with how CaptureLife can save you money. In many cases, we're going to find that CaptureLife is actually cheaper than producing a CD or a USB drive. Through Technicare, your delivery, the way that the delivery works is CaptureLife is $2.50 for 1 to 9 images delivered. If you deliver 10 to 99 images, it's $3.75. And if you deliver 100 to 1,000 images at one time in one album, it's $5.75. Now, if you have ever tried to produce CDs or USB drives in the past, I know at our shop it was basically a stop the presses moment, where you'd have to locate the customer image, maybe a team image, grab a CD, burn the CD, print out a label, find an envelope, and then somehow get that CD back into the package for the customer. It really was costly. Aside from just the cost of, say, a USB drive, you have to take into consideration the labor that it takes to create that and get that out to the customer. And keep in mind that both CDs and USBs, as well as digital downloads, are what we call dead-end transactions, and they don't promote any continued relationship with your customer. Again, your customers take that and go to any big box or online commodity printer, and you no longer have control of color or quality, and it can reflect back on your work. When customers purchase additional products through Technicare and through the CaptureLife app, the products will be printed through Technicare's lab. The second aspect of this is how can CaptureLife make you more money? And we look at bundling digital images as a way to generate new interest in your packages. Parents want printed products. They've always ordered those, but they also want, today, of course, images on their smartphones where they can share it with family and friends. This increases the value of your packages, so make sure to raise prices as you incorporate what parents want. As Scott mentioned, CaptureLife app helps stay connected with customers for future sales. CaptureLife gives you, as a photographer, access to entire sets of customers that we didn't have before with a paper order form, or where one person was making the decision. When the image is delivered through CaptureLife, a parent can pick it up, send it out to grandma and grandpa, and sales will increase through social networking. And as we said, those albums move around social networks, and that's access to customers that we didn't have before an app like CaptureLife. We're also going to look at how to win new business with CaptureLife, and this is important because we're going to look at ways to differentiate your business when you're going out to sell to a school or a sports league. In my experience, we found that differentiating yourself from the other photographers in the area can often be tricky, and CaptureLife is a way to do that. We'll see that in just a moment. What we're going to do next is look at just some examples of how we use CaptureLife in the ordering process. In this case, we're looking at a typical prepay order form with CaptureLife added into all of the packages. And keep in mind, if this is a proofing system, this works as well, where you take out whatever digital product like a CD or some sort of download that's a dead-end transaction, and you swap it out with CaptureLife. We'll look at that in the next example. But for this one here, what we've done is on the left, underneath the gold photo logo, we see that we've announced that CaptureLife is available and that images will be delivered to smartphone or computer. And then we've added CaptureLife to all of the packages. Now, I want to make sure that if you look down towards the bottom there, we've assigned CaptureLife a price in the a la carte section. It's important to do that so when your thrifty customers go through and look at the packages, they can make a determination based on, wow, that digital delivery is $30 by itself in this example. And when they look at a package, they can really understand the value that you're getting. And as a reminder, I just want to say here to be sure to collect email addresses and phone numbers on order forms, especially if you're not used to doing that. And on our forms, for example, I would include a privacy note that would say something like, by purchasing digital content delivery, your customer is, the customer's opting into receiving the image via cell phone and email address. Let's look at the next example, and this one's interesting because here's where I believe you can win more business as you use CaptureLife to differentiate yourself from other photographers. In this case, we've added CaptureLife digital content delivery across the entire order form. And this form here is a proof. And we've announced that CaptureLife is available again. We've also, in this case, we state that, hey, digital content delivery is included free with every order on this order form. In this case, the price is $20. On the bottom in the a la carte selection, we assigned a price again. And as you see, this time it's $20. Now, what this does is, as soon as a parent reaches a price threshold, we decide to give them digital content delivery through CaptureLife. And the importance of doing that, sorry, I just skipped forward a slide. Scott, can you take me back? Thanks. On this particular order form, the way that this sets, if I go into a school or into a sports league, and keep in mind there's another three photographers that are going to come in and present after me. Often what we found is we'd go in and we'd talk about all of the services that we had, and we really had set ourselves apart from everybody else in the area. And what would happen is, after the presentation was over, the board would collect all the information from the 3 or 4 photographers, and then at a later date make a decision. And oftentimes that decision would come down to price. It would have nothing to do with service. They would look at what an 8x10 cost on our form and compare it to 8x10s on the other 3 order forms. And if our competitor had an 8x10 if our 8x10 was $12 and the competitor's 8x10 was $10, often the league would just say, well, this company must be the better value for our parents. Let's just choose them. And it was very frustrating because, again, we had set ourselves apart. We had better service, quicker delivery, and oftentimes it came down to price. With CaptureLife, what you can do, especially in this model where you've added it above a price threshold, which, by the way, you need to set close to your average sale. Now, if your average sale is $30 or $40, you're going to want to up that where it says included free with every order. But what it does is you state the case that you are the photographer that gives digital images out with every order. And the reason that's important is because we know that consumers are on their cell phones. And so you really leave an impression when you make a presentation and say, I'm the photographer that's going to get this out with every order. And keep in mind, this is also important when considering all of the benefits that CaptureLife has to offer, such as social networking and push notifications, seasonal advertising to help your photo. Like maybe you shot photos in the fall and now at Christmas time, customers are getting notifications about different types of products. Keep in mind, the only way that you get to take advantage of that is if you get CaptureLife out to your customers. And this is a fantastic way to get CaptureLife out to a majority of your customers. That's it for my part. I want to hand this back to Scott, but before I do, I want to say that, you know, I'm here as a service to you, the photographer. And so I would, if you have questions or need help incorporating CaptureLife into your photo offering, please reach out. I'd be happy to help. Scott?
Great, thanks, TW. So big question here is then, how do we get started? And that's where TW said we're here to help. So a couple of things, and really consider still that this is just the opening awareness campaign. It is an ongoing campaign, so we're going to be reaching out to you with other pieces of material. For example, how to submit an order with Rose or with Flow, and other detailed information about CaptureLife. You know, landing on your phone with a sample order so that you can experience it for yourself. So this is just the beginning, but you can get started. And the first way to do that is to reach out to TW. Just send him an email at tw@capturelife.com, and that'll start you in this process moving forward. And the other thing is changing your order forms for the fall. We have a really good window of opportunity here. It's why we are getting out in front of this and getting you this information as soon as possible. We know you just rolled off of spring, many of you, if you're in the seasonal business, and getting ready for the fall. So it's a perfect time to change those order forms, to incorporate the information and the packaging that you need to start offering CaptureLife. And we're here to help. We've seen lots of different forms. We've helped people with pricing and packaging, suggestions and questions. We have the benefit of being connected in with a lot of different photographers. And while we are always anonymous about it, we've collected our own set of data that really helps us to provide some guidance to you on what we see working in the market. And the other thing is we will share this webinar link with you so that you can share it with other people, rewatch it if you need to. And we will be sharing, as I mentioned earlier, the photo links and Rose guides for you so that you can see how easy it is to place an order through those systems. And this is an ongoing relationship, an ongoing discussion. So again, we're here to help. And we have time now for Q&A. We got done about 5 minutes early with our content. And while TW is sort of scanning the Q&A, any questions you've submitted, I have seeded a few questions that we get a lot that I thought I'd kick things off with here. We mentioned this earlier, but I just wanted to make sure we were clear on it, that if you're using a proofing model and you use sites like commerce solutions like ImageQuicks, for example, yes, that will work. TW knows that workflow well. TW, maybe you can just actually briefly describe that workflow?
Yeah, so for example, in the PhotoLinks flow model, you would add CaptureLife to your packages or create a product inside of PhotoLinks and then send that out to ImageQuicks as normal. What ImageQuicks does is when a customer places an order, that's the entry point for the email address and phone number, and you need at that point to make sure that that information gets exported out of ImageQuicks and back into Flow, so that that information, the information that CaptureLife needs, which is email address and phone number, can get passed to Technicare for delivery. Scott, we've got a question about incorrect emails. What happens? How does the photographer get notified?
Yeah, so a couple of things related to that. One is, I mentioned earlier a technique for reducing those issues, those support issues, is actually collect phone number and email address. Because if someone keyed an email address in wrong, or somehow there was an error with an email address, then they'll still get the text message. They won't get the email because it's inaccurate, but they will get the text message. So having both is a great way to ensure that you're going to get that information to those customers. But if there is a case, they happen where that information, the email address gets entered incorrectly, you can literally, when you are part of the CaptureLife model, you're going to see in your CaptureLife account that gets created for you as part of this process, you're going to be able to see all the orders that are flowing through Technicare. You're going to have your own account where you can see that. You can see how many people have viewed their images. So there's some great insights that you get from that. But in addition to that, there's some nice tools in there, like the ability, if you needed to add an image to an order because the original images went up through the ordering system, but you forgot to add one more pose that was supposed to be part of their order. Again, doesn't happen a lot. You can certainly reprocess that through your ordering system, but you can also go into CaptureLife and add it right to the customer's account, right there in your CaptureLife account, and re-notify them. So there's literally you hover over their order, there's an icon that says notify, and that will send out the same email and text message. So we use that same feature where if an email address was keyed incorrectly, you can literally just update it to the right email address, hit the notify button, and they get a notification to their correct email address. So it's a very easy solution.
I've got another question, Scott, that says, do I still need order forms on site or just pass CaptureLife forms and let people order online? That sounds like the proofing question.
Yeah, so I'll let you go ahead with that one, TW.
Yep, so what we're doing for now is because of the way CaptureLife needs to be presented at this point, we're going to recommend that you're just replacing digital delivery at this point. So when you think about that, on your order forms, added into the packages, it would still be an order form that you would take to the chute that is added into the packages and in a la carte, such as on the example. We really want, this is an awareness campaign, and we want to make sure that we get started in an easy and seamless way that's going to make sense for the customer. Sometimes when you throw what can be a complex technology on the back end, we can get some of the messages as crossed and confused, especially when customers aren't accustomed to receiving images in this manner. So, yeah.
Sorry, I would add in, so think of it this way. CaptureLife is not a print and digital proofing system. You can use any of the ones that are compatible with PhotoLinks that Technicare also supports on the front end. APE is a great example of one of those that's also offered by PhotoLinks. That's a great proofing system, completely integrated with CaptureLife. We discussed image quicks earlier. That workflow is an option. So if you were having a proofing model where it's a print and digital proofing model, think of CaptureLife as the replacement of your CD or whatever the digital option is today. That's the clarity. And, you know, picking off one of these other questions, I did mention earlier that even though most of the customers access through mobile, if they do click on the notification from their computer, we do open up our web app and show them their images with all the other options that you would have on the mobile. And another thing we do get asked, are the high resolution images available for download? Yes, we always take the high resolution image. We do have an option, and actually very, very few people use it. And I think it's because customers want access to the high res. There was this time in the market where you could kind of sell a social media shareable image and then a high res. I think what we found is most people don't muddy the sale with that. They just offer the high res. And when the customer downloads that, they're getting the high res image. We also need that high res image in order to process any future print orders that we're brokering through the Technicare print store. And, you know, to that end, in terms of storing their images, we have never deleted an image. We do not plan to delete images. So one of the values that CaptureLife offers is a long-term repository of your customers' images. We see a great value in being able to store these over time. And one thing that may not have been clear as we went through this earlier, they have their one CaptureLife account. I can't tell you how many accounts we're seeing now where we can see the albums that are coming in from season to season, from kid to kid. There were orders that came in from school jobs this past spring where 3 or 4 kids were in the same parent's account. Now, when you think of the power of that, instead of having all these separate digital downloads, requiring them to collate those kids' images together, you now have one account, the parent does, with all of their kids' images from a season and seasons over time in that one account. So what's going to happen when they go to purchase some print products from Technicare and use one of the collage options maybe? Now they have access to those 3 kids' images right from that one account. So we do store those images over time because of the value that can be driven from that. TW, any more questions from folks coming in? TW, you still there?
Sorry about that, Scott. There is another question about, can you talk about the difference between the purchased digital and unpurchased digital? Can they both be in the gallery together?
Yes, good question. So we have two types of digital images, as the question just stated. You know, if someone paid for the digital as part of their package, that would come in without a watermark. And, you know, they would have access to the sharing and everything else that comes with owning that image. We also support selling digital products or images that weren't purchased. That could be someone that purchased part of a portrait session and maybe purchased a package that included one or a couple of images, but not the rest of them. You can still wind up on their phone in an album with those watermarked next to the ones that were purchased. And so you set the prices for what you'd like to sell those digital images for through the app, and they can purchase right through the app. And obviously the proceeds get shared back for those purchases. And that plays into our whole digital marketplace strategy, that when we make more of these digital products available for you to sell within the app, some of those obviously may come with a prepay package that you have, like the one that this youth sports photographer that's rolling out video stories for a tournament they're doing starting in a couple of weeks. That's part of a prepay package where if you buy the premium package, you're going to get this video story with it. But you could just as easily include that as an upsell and allow them to see a clip of the video, but if they want to own it and download it and watch it anytime they want, then they need to purchase it within the app. So absolutely. And some of these products we're going to be rolling out over time here. We expect a couple to be available in the fall and more coming online as we move forward. But really what we want to do is stay focused. One thing we've learned over the years here is it's really helpful to stay focused on the core workflow first and then move into some of these additional benefits of selling more digital products. So we'll be there to help you with that.
That's a good point. Scott, that's it for the questions for this afternoon. We'll answer some others via email, but otherwise I'll leave it to you to wrap up.
Yeah, so just really wanted to thank everybody, especially want to thank Technicare. What a fantastic partnership we've had with Technicare. They're just incredibly great to work with, talented folks, and we're just really excited about, what we can do together. This is just the beginning, as I've said. We're going to be rolling out more information to you, but you can get started, and now is the time to do that. And that's by, sending out that email to tw@capturelife.com. And if you need to reach me for any reason, Scott@capturelife.com. We make it pretty easy. It's pretty much the person's first name that you know at CaptureLife, and then at capturelife.com. So with that, we really appreciate your time. Looking forward to you becoming a part of the CaptureLife product moving forward and using it for your business. And thanks again.